with the final boss, for example, and just complete the game in reverse order. But for this tournament in particular, we're gonna have it so that the runners complete the game from World 1 to 5, and they can't complete any world in any random order. That would be pretty hard to follow along with, and we wouldn't really know who's in the lead until the run is completely over. So right here, it looks like both runners are opting to start with level 3. This is a pretty quick level, as is most of the run. Most of the run is going to be blazing through each level. There's not really any downtime between the time between jumping between each level. So it's mostly just going to be gameplay. Obo takes a bit of a fall.
Yeah, ObeoOz definitely struggling a little bit here in level 3. Something to note in level 3 specifically is that there is a cycle we like to call God Cycle that is very hard to get. Unfortunately, neither of our runners here today got it.
Oh, but Cecile having trouble as well. He takes the death right at the end. Obo's still struggling. Somewhat of a bumpy road for the both of them, but they both make it through. And for World 1, it's looking like they're probably going to go a very similar route. But for now, Cecile definitely does have a slight lead advantage.
Cecile also going for level 1 instead of level 2, differing from the traditional route there. On CecileGo's side, level 1, pretty standard stuff. It's basically the tutorial level, if you want to put it that way. Basically just optimizing our movement as much as possible. ObeoOz on level 2. Basically the gimmick for level 2 is using a bunch of sponges. And sponges can be kind of weird. They have weird hitboxes and weird collisions, stuff like that. So sometimes they're a little weird to navigate. But again, this is the first world, so we're not getting into a ton of complicated stuff quite yet.
Yeah, a lot of these earlier stages are going to be pretty simple, straightforward. Definitely the most utilized sub-weapon in the game is going to be Curling Bomb. They're almost going to be spamming Curling Bombs throughout each level. They'll just streak through it. And because we have the upgraded ink tank, we're able to just chuck 2 at a time if we want to.
So there are 3 types of bombs that we can use here. Curling Bomb, Luminoi's already mentioned. It's pretty useful for getting around. Basically covers a straight line of ink in front of you, and you just kind of follow it. Then there's Splat Bomb, which is still very useful, but comes up a lot less often than Curling Bomb. Basically a grenade, you throw it. Takes a few seconds to blow up, but does a lot of damage, and it's useful for breaking crates in our way if they're just inconvenient for getting rid of manually. And then we have Auto Bomb, which comes up like twice, maybe.
Yeah,
it's not very useful.
Yeah, Auto Bombs are mostly used for levels that have squeegees in them. I know there's one instance in level 19 where you can use an Auto Bomb to trigger one of the ink switches. But yeah, besides that, Auto Bombs are essentially useless. They do... Curling Bombs and Splat Bombs basically do everything that we need, and auto bombs are very slow. Well, we could just chuck a single splat bomb and almost instantly kill an enemy. Once again, right now, nothing too complicated. Everything is going pretty smoothly for both runners after level 3 happened. And we're probably going to be seeing them sync up a little bit going into boss 1.
Yeah, World 1, not very challenging, so we tend to have these levels pretty optimized.
So Obo is a little bit ahead, but only by around like maybe 3 seconds maximum. So pretty close race going on here so far.
Basically, going into the first boss here, we have ObeoOz22. I don't think we'll see a ton of variance in times with this level. This one is another pretty optimized level. But we opt to use the hero charger here. And the thing about the hero charger, it has really long range, and it does a lot of damage pretty quickly. And what you're supposed to do casually is climb up ObeoOz22 when it like sticks itself out of itself, basically. And you're supposed to hit the tentacle on top, but we can just stand from the ground and hit it with the hero charger here, which makes most of these phases pretty quick.
The tentacle can be a little bit tricky to hit at first, because it kind of wiggles around, so you can miss some shots, but that doesn't lose too much time. That loses like half a second if you missed a single shot.
Yeah, and on phase 3 here, we take an intentional damage boost so we can skip a very long waiting cycle of ObeoOz22 basically painting the whole ground. Nice convenient time save there.
Obo actually, he was sitting in his knee, so the ObeoOz22 couldn't see him. And so he didn't shoot out his little toast guys as fast as he would have liked them to.
Yeah, something to note, the enemies usually can't see you when you're in ink, unless you have your armor broken.
Yeah.
That's another thing we'll get into later, probably. The first few levels don't really... There's no risk of getting your armor broken, but if you do get your armor broken, it's one hit and you die, and then also you move super slow. So it's a big time loss.
Yeah, there are some points in the run where like you will intentionally break your armor, like in that last boss fight.
Yes.
In this level, if you're just a bit slow to one of the cycles, getting your armor broken is actually a better idea. Because if you get hit by one of these blimp guys, it makes the entire blimp just instantly disappear. We might see Obo do it here. Yeah, just like that.
Something to also note, if we're near a checkpoint, it's actually sometimes more convenient to break our armor, if that means we're saving time, because we get our armor immediately back once we reach a checkpoint.
Yep.
ObeoOz coming up to a really cool stingray skip here. We can use the stingray to move a fan on a platform, and then hit a grapple link with the stingray so we can kind of fly across the stage and get to the end super quick. Really nice skip there.
Yeah, that was a pretty clean level from Obo. Once
Yeah,
again,
110 is
Cecile,
not bad at all.
yeah, for
Cecile
sure.
not far behind at all.
I think he got a 115 there. Yeah, he's
Yep.
very close.
ObeoOz going into level 7, and so is CecileGo. This is the first level where we have the instance of squeegees. Their movement is basically RNG, but it can be manipulated through bombs, so we'll see our runners throw some bombs on the ground, lead it in certain directions. The main thing is we want to avoid them if we don't have to use them, but if we do have to use them, we want them to go in a very specific path, so we're going to use whatever means necessary to do that. And squeegees can be very annoying.
Yeah, there's a ton of different methods to deal with them. There's a bunch of different instances where they are just complete RNG. Right here, there's actually a bit of RNG that can happen where he can get stuck on the wall here. And that actually worked perfectly for Obo. I've actually never seen it go that well.
CecileGo coming up on the exact same part.
Goes well for him.
And goes well, yeah. Other than that, this level's pretty normal.
Yeah. Right there was another instance of an intentional armor break, just to get by that enemy as fast as possible. We pick up an armor that's already in our path by that point, and since we won't need armor for a different part of the level, we just let him break it. Squeegee getting in Cecile's way there. Slips him up a little bit. Good time from Obo.
So throughout this run, we're going to be seeing a few different weapons from the runners here. Mainly 3. Only 3. The Hero Shot, the Hero Dualies, and the Hero Charger. And the Hero Shot and the Hero Dualies are going to look really similar. Apart from the Dualies have one main factor that makes them, I think, the weapon we use most in the run. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But the Hero Dualies have a function where they can dodge roll, which is really helpful for grind rail levels because we can dodge roll in the air, and it saves a few seconds over the course of the whole level, which we're going to see here a lot in level 5.
There's some really cool skips in this level. Obo's slipping up a bit there at that last jump. But both runners are going to be shortly approaching a skip called Nollie Jump. We'll see if they opt to do it. I'm sure Obo will.
Yep, and lands it.
Yeah, that saves around 5 seconds instead of going all the way around and climbing up that wall. We'll see if Cecile goes for it as well. Looks like
he does not.
Right here, just paint this wall and then jump around this gap.
Yeah, only saves like 5 seconds. He almost fell there. That scared me.
Yeah, optimally, probably around there. Obo finishing up, Cecile trailing not too far behind. It seems that they're going a pretty similar route so far. There was a minor difference in World 1, but that doesn't really matter. World 2 is basically all dually levels. There's one there's 2 hero shot levels, and then the rest are dually, and then actually there's one charger.
There's one charger level, yeah. At the very beginning.
Yeah.
ObeoOz getting into level 9 here. This is our first instance of an Octoling level. Basically, there are 8 mini Zapfish around stage for multiplayer, as some of you might know as the Reef. We go around the stage. There are a lot of variances in routes when it comes to these types of stages, especially the first one because it's so open. But yeah, we go around the stage, getting 8 mini Zapfish, and the last one you collect instantly ends the level.
Getting 39, that is a good time, especially for the route he was using, which we refer to as RTA route, because there's basically no RNG variance in that. There's one point where you can't get your armor broken, which he did get his armor broken there, but besides that, very smooth.
CecileGo on a different level.
Yeah, he went for some of these Relonium boosts. You can dodge roll right as you send one of these barrel things.
Relonium, yeah.
Relonium, yeah, for lack of a better term. And if you dodge roll at a precise time, you can basically ride the Relonium, ride the momentum off of it to get like a pretty huge boost.
And ObeoOz just entering the same level here.
And actually, Obo's using a hero shot, and Cecile is using the dualies. On this level, you can go for Relonium boost if you're using the dualies, and at the ending here, you can dodge roll into the Zapfish, which saves a bit of time. But besides that, hero shot is typically going to be the safer option.
Although you cannot go for Relonium boost with hero shot.
No. I think you can actually, if you use a bomb to do it, you might be able to get a single boost, but I'm not sure. It's definitely a lot easier with these. It is possible with hero shot. Right here, Cecile's doing a different route from Obo. This is actually the IL route, which is using the IL world record. And he, so far, has not gotten his armor broken. Very clean from Cecile.
ObeoOz moving on to another level with more boosts. You can use these octo furlers, I believe they're called, to boost off of. And it is a little precise. But yeah, you can kind of like get behind these octo furlers. Obo not going for those though. Because sometimes you might die if you go for them.
If you stand like too far forward on one of them, it can just kind of send you downwards instead of forward. And if you're standing too far back, it just won't boost you at all. So it's a pretty risky strat, but it is extremely rewarding if you can land them.
They're very similar to Relonium boosts, but just with a little variance. You don't need dualies to do them. And Obo getting a new record.
That's what we like to see.
You love to see it.
That actually was a very good time as well. But Cecile not trailing too far behind. I'd still say only around a 30-second gap, maybe.
ObeoOz now entering Boss 2, which is, I believe, the quickest boss in the game. He's not very difficult. You just kind of walk up to him, shoot him, and he dies. And that's really it.
Pretty much.
There are a few strats with throwing bombs to make his health drop down faster, but apart from that, you just kind of shoot him.
It's just around 40 seconds if you don't mess it up. Which it looks like Obo isn't. Looking like he's gonna get a 42, maybe 43 here.
Just a 43 right there. Still a very good time.
Oh,
And
boy.
CecileGo just entering boss 2 here. With Obo getting started on level 10 in World 3.
Yeah, this level here, there's a cycle later on in the level. It isn't a global cycle, but at a certain point, you're gonna have to climb on top of one of these stamp guys. I'm not sure what the term is.
Octoseeker.
Octoseeker, yes. You have to climb on top of one of them, and it's actually pretty tight of a cycle. And if you do miss it, it costs you around like 20 seconds, maybe.
Yeah, this cycle is really hard to get, but it's almost necessary that you get it if you want a good time here.
Brutal if you miss it.
Basically, if you go under them, they'll be like, oh no, and they'll try and stamp you. And if you get stamped, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, there's almost no instance in this level where they have a chance of stamping you.
Yeah, no, they are very slow though.
Yeah. And they give you like a 5-second warning period. They just flash a light, basically saying, "I'm about to stamp you," and they stand still too, so pretty easy to do.
Obo just getting to our local cycle here, where we have to get on top of this Octoseeker. And he makes the cycle just fine. Something to note though, if you jump into one of those fans on top of the Octoseeker, that can damage you and push you off, which is not fun.
Yeah, they have a pretty whack hitbox, and they just bounce you off and send you flying. Good time coming out for Obo here. Next up, we're most likely going to see him going to level 14, which has a potential skip he could go for it. I'm not sure that he does. It is called Car Wash Skip, and it's another intentional damage boost where you can basically you get into one of there's these washer things that come out, these purple washers. You can get inside of them and then just mash the jump button, and there's a chance that you'll get popped out.
CecileGo also missing the cycle in level 10, unfortunately. And Obo is going for Car Wash Skip, gets it first try.
Yep.
And that saves about a second, 2 seconds?
4, I think.
4.
Yeah, it's pretty big, because otherwise you just have to wait out the entire cycle. It's actually a pretty long cycle. Probably 3 to 4. Cecile entering 14 just behind Obo. Obo in the basically final section of the level. Just climb up to the top. You gotta kill 2 Octolings, get the key, and then move ahead to the end.
Level 14 is one of the few levels where we can see a lot of variance in weapons here. Some people like to go for Hero Shot or Dualies, just to go for that speed, but Obo used to go for Charger in this level, which is a little bit slower, but it is a lot safer.
Yeah, it's definitely the more consistent option. Quite a few runners use Charger on this level. I think in recent history, a lot more people have been using Hero Shot, but yeah, Charger is definitely a good option if you're newer to the category and you just want to get the consistent runs.
Obo headed into our second Octoling level, level 15, on Humpback Pump Track.
Yeah, this one has quite a bit of RNG variance. It's pretty straightforward, but there's two spots in particular where you can get hit by an enemy.
This Octoling level introduces Octolings with rollers, which, if they hit you correctly, they can break your armor in one hit, which can be pretty punishing. Not to mention, if you die on this level, you go to the very back of the level, and you have to trek all the way back to where you were.
Obo barely escapes that roller and should be a clean path to victory for him.
39, very good time.
Yeah, really nothing went wrong for him there. But once again, Cecile, just behind him. Finishing up level 14 and headed straight into level 15, maybe.
Maybe, we don't know.
Either that or level 12, most likely. Oh, and he is going to level 12. So this level is just a bunch of bounce pads. There's some crazy like functions of these bounce pads. It's kind of like the sponges, in the sense that their properties are very weird. There's like creases in the sponge where if you land in a crease in like a particular way, it won't give you a high boost. And other times, oh, that's another instance of that. You can get hit by those two enemies right there. Overall, this level's very sporadic.
The reason why most people use the dualies here is because we can use dodge rolls to kind of manipulate our speed on the bounce pads here. They can make us move very fast, although the strats are very hard. And then ObeoOz just passed the infamous part of this level, basically a giant part where you fall down. And another perk of the dualies dodge rolls is that we can, when in the air, if you dodge roll, it kind of skyrockets you down. Which also helps us go much faster on these bounce pads.
Yeah, that's the main reason that dualies are more optimal on this level.
Yeah, that one section there.
Cecile, not trailing far behind at all, but he does still need to do level 15, which Obo has already taken care of. So now Obo can move on to the charger levels in this road, 11, 13, and boss 3. Right here, there's gonna be, I'm actually not sure what these guys are called.
Octokooks.
Octokooks. And basically run away from you if they see you, if you throw a bomb at them, if you shoot a shot at them. They'll just run away, and they can be pretty difficult to deal with. And this is really like, there's only like one other instance I can think of off the top of my head where they show up again. And
Yeah, they show up in like 2, maybe even 1 level.
Yeah.
But they can be very punishing if you miss your first shot here, which is why we opt to use the hero charger here, because they can kill them in 1 shot. And it's very fast, just in general. But if you let them run away, you better have good backup strats, or else it's going to be tough to get them.
And actually, another reason that we use charger here is if you're not aiming directly at one of the enemies, they actually won't get triggered. So if you use a charger and you kind of aim away from them, and then you flick your camera to hit them, they can't run away, even if you're like pretty close to them.
Obo finishing with a sub 2 minutes on level 11, which is an insanely good time.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And CecileGo just getting started here on level 11. Unfortunately, misses the first shot on the first Octokook.
Obo moving on to level 13, which is this also introduces another enemy. Actually, wait. I think it does. It introduces the flutters, where they're basically just showers. They appeared in the first game, and they're basically an instant hit kill. As soon as you touch their like shower, you'll lose your armor. There is a point in the level where you can intentionally get hit by one of them because there is a checkpoint like right next to it. I'm not sure if Obo uses this strat, and I personally do, but pretty straightforward level here.
Obo's coming up here on this little maze. Can't really call it a maze. But with these Octo Showers, they can get in your way sometimes. Their movement is basically RNG, but also somewhat manipulatable, similar to the squeegees.
There is a part where here you're supposed to go all the way around and hop on top of the flutters and navigate through that little somewhat maze area, and it's a big struggle trying to deal with these guys. So with the charger, you can just get on that bottom half, jump, and then shoot the grapple hook.
You can jump off the platform a little bit earlier and hit that grapple link, and it'll save a bit of time, but it's very risky because if you miss it, you die and you lose who knows how many seconds. ObeoOz getting started on boss 3 here, Octostamp returning from the first game. Octostamp is a very weird boss. His movement is practically RNG, somewhat manipulatable though. Basically similar strats to Octo Oven, we just kind of skip climbing up him and hit him with the Euro Charger.
Yeah.
He's a bit more interesting to fight though because his phases are a bit different from each other.
Yeah, and right there, you're gonna see Obo go to like directly the side of him and try to make his path a bit shorter so he flips over and lands on his face a bit quicker.
Obo going straight for the 4th world boss Octo Shower.
Yeah, this one is tricky. If you miss your shots in phase 2 and 3, he'll run away, and you'll have to wait until he attacks you to get another chance at hitting. First phase, pretty simple though. You just take out these guys. Shoot his tentacle. from here, it's essentially a rinse and repeat, but he adds more of these helicopter enemies to protect him. And then in phase 3, he adds enemies that can dodge roll away from you. It's air dodge. Very clean boss fight.
Very clean. If you miss any of those shots, it's very punishing. Sometimes you do have time to catch up and get an extra shot in that you may have missed. But generally, you don't have that kind of leeway, and you just lose 10 seconds.
And there's also a mistake you can make where you can partially hit one of the enemies. So he'll be like completely green, but he won't be dead because you didn't hold charge long enough. And it's basically the same as just outright missing the enemy, because he'll still fly away and won't give you that chance.
Yeah, so we can kill a lot of enemies in this game with the charger without needing a full charge, but on required enemy kills like that, if we miss the full charge, or not the full charge, but like the partial charge, it could be very punishing. Meanwhile, CecileGo, just getting started on boss 3.
Right here in level 16, there actually is a global cycle that Obo can make. He should be on pace for it, I believe. Oh wait, he already got it. Wait, my bad.
Yeah, that was earlier.
But this cycle right here is also a different cycle that you can make. Where if you're on the cycle where the platforms start moving from side to side while your angles can get skewed a little bit, and that makes you go slower.
Obo moving on to level 17. This level is very cycle based. You have these platforms kind of turning around here. Again, just a bunch of cycles to get, the path you want.
Yeah, World 4 actually does have a lot of cycle based levels. In level 20 there's a cycle just later on in this world. In 16 there's that global cycle. And this level, 17, it's basically all global cycles. So yeah, definitely a world that you want to be very quick on your feet. If you slip up, and it can cost you quite a bit of time.
CecileGo has just finished up boss 4, Octo Shower. And we should also mention, boss 4 is the last boss we will be seeing in this run. We are doing a version of New Game Plus here where we do not do the final boss, Octavio, because he has 2 minutes of varying RNG. So we decided to exclude him from this tournament just to keep it as fair as possible for the runners.
Yeah, Octavio can have up to 2 minutes in variance. There's been kind of a push for getting a sub 4-minute Octavio IL time recently. It's always been something that's been theorized, but the fact that a runner could just get like potentially a sub 4-minute Octavio, while the other could get like a 6.5-minute Octavio, is just pretty unfair. It's not within their control.
Obo moving on to level 18, which is basically just a giant auto-scroller. There are two main parts here that we consider auto-scrollers. One, we have this big tower that you have to climb up using grind rails, where basically we just dodge roll up the rails, and it saves us a few seconds over the course of the level. And that's the first auto-scroller part. And then at the very end, we have a platform that moves very slowly from where it starts to the end of the level. And if you miss the final jump, you lose like a minute.
Yeah, the auto scroll at the end is around a minute long. Yeah, and basically just a bunch of enemies with parachutes will slowly float down, and it's a super easy section. But yeah, there you can risk taking an early jump onto the Zapfish platform. But there have been many instances and runs where a runner will just jump a little bit too early and then lose a minute.
I can attest to this.
Same.
CecileGo, just finishing up this level here, which basically has two different paths that lead you to different keys so you can go down the final path. And there is a skip here that I believe we might see ObeoOz do on the level that CecileGo is on right now, where you can basically skip killing the enemies there and make the platform lower and then jump onto it to get up to the Zapfish at the end.
Yeah.
CecileGo getting started on level 19, which is the longest level in the game, excluding Octavio. Basically the same as before, but we have 3 different paths instead of 2. And at the end is a very terrible squeegee manipulation section.
Yeah,
But
it's pretty notorious in ILs, this ending. It's complete RNG. I don't think anybody has truly figured out the way it works, but it shouldn't give these runners too much struggle. There are some backup strats you can do to get them under control relatively quickly. We're on the next Octavio level, this time on 4A Towers. This one, once again, as is with most of the Octavio levels, is basically all RNG. These snipers are pretty difficult to get hit by, but there are some slosher enemies that spawn in at certain points, and blaster enemies that can just one KO you. And that costs a lot of time if you die, because this is definitely the largest Octoling level map. So you'd have to go across the entire map, and that would probably cost you around 30 seconds.
it's the only Octoling level that we also don't see huge variance in different routes that people take because the level is so linear itself. So usually we see people go for the Zapfish in the same order that everybody else does.
Cecile narrowly avoiding death there.
There's a strat here that Cecile is doing right now, where instead of just waiting for the platform to turn around, you can just go get started on it immediately, and you can sometimes skip the trigger that spawns enemies there, so you can just go right past with no worries, really.
Something interesting to note as Cecile gets started here in this squeegee section, I attempted to activate the ink switches for that section where the platform starts moving with a pause glitch, which a pause glitch, if you have a ink, like partially inked, and you just pause the game and then unpause the game, for some reason it just automatically fills the entire ink switch. And I attempted to stand at the edge of the platform where the jump pad spawns in level 19 and then pause glitch it, but the momentum the platform moves at is so great that it will throw you flying off the platform like immediately once it starts moving. So you don't want to start moving too fast as that platform starts moving. Just about finished with World 4. It's level 19 left. And then he's home free.
In level 19, these 3 paths here that you can take, you can do it in any order, so, and they don't really save or lose time depending on which path you do first, so basically just runner's preference on which way you want to go.
Cecile finishing up level 16 very smoothly. Obo using an auto bomb there to attempt to ink that switch as it starts moving out. He attempts to do a pause glitch there, but he does mess it up, and he still hits the ink switch on a good side. That is just about the last instance we'll see auto bombs being used. In level 22, you actually can use it to try and manipulate the squeegees, but a splat bomb works just as well. Oh, and actually, excuse me, no, you do use auto bombs for this section, but beyond this level, we won't be seeing auto bombs used. Robo struggling a little bit, trying to control the squeegees, but looks like a smooth path to finish.
Yeah, unfortunately, squeegees just sometimes don't do what you want them to. Which kind of sucks, but oh well.
Obo still getting a good time for level 19, and he's moving on to World 5 now. Starting with level 26. This level is another bowling ball level, just like level 16, which you just saw. And there's some scary skips and jumps corner cuts you can go for here, trying to narrowly avoid these bowling balls. But if you do get hit by any of them, it costs a lot of time. There's also a weird case where there's just a bunch of bowling balls that can just spawn all at once. We'll see if that happens later on. As far as I know, it's just RNG. But it's very weird.
Obo picked up a Inkstorm special a little bit earlier in the level, which can be used at the very end on a target which you're supposed to hit in order to make a platform move so we can avoid some large bowling balls. Don't know if he goes for that strat, but we'll see here coming up. And these bowling balls are quite hard to avoid. They have quite large hitboxes, and he does use the Inkstorm here to hit the target, just make the platform go out, making it just much easier to get around this bowling ball here.
Very good time from Obo. Cecile just finished up World 4 here. I believe this is his last level. Saves the auto-scroller for last. Opts not to get the armor. And does get his armor broken. Monka S.
Obo getting started on level 22. Something interesting about level 22 is they took all of the gimmicks that we hated and put them all in one level. So we have squeegees, we have the octo kooks from much earlier, we've got these bombs that can kill you in one hit, and a bunch of other fun stuff.
Yeah, basically just the amalgamation of everything that's bad about hero mode. The squeegees are really just the icing on the cake, the cherry on top of this level. It really puts to the test everything you've learned in the game up to this point. Obo stops the Octocook before he can run too far away though. That is pretty consistent.
If you let the Octocook run a bit longer, maybe you just can't catch up to him. He can run off a platform, and if he runs off the platform and lands down on the ground below, that is a big time loss. And Obo's just getting up to the last segment of this level here, the squeegees segment.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of like little things you can do on the side in this level, but we basically just skip all of it. Obo opting to get on this tall squeegee as soon as possible.
Yeah, so we have to get up to this final platform here that has the Zapfish, and you can get on it from either of the squeegees, even though they have two different heights. But it is more preferable to get on the taller one, which is what most people go for.
Yeah, you can opt to go on top of the smaller one because you actually can get onto the final Zapfish platform, jumping off of the small one. But it is a lot more RNG based. It's a lot safer to just go with the tall one because you basically can't be touched by the Gatling gun.
Obo getting started on level 23, which has a bunch of rails, so of course we're using dualies with their dodge rolls to go a little bit faster here.
Yeah, this level is essentially just spam the B button.
And CecileGo just getting into World 5 here. starting with level 22, I believe. 23 actually, my bad.
Yeah. So, although it looks like this is a pretty close race, Cecile does have to get level 26 and 22 out of the way before they are in sync. Obo going for a pretty risky jump there. Skips a large section of just wrapping around. This level is probably just what I would say is the epitome of Splatoon 2 hero mode running. It's just fun, just getting on these rails and just spam and jump and dodge roll. Good time for Obo.
At the end there's a slight chance that you can get your armor broken by the Octo snipers there, but generally isn't much of an issue.
Yeah, and even if you do, it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, when on grind rails, it does not make you move slower, even if your armor is broken, which is nice.
Yeah. Sadly, Nintendo decided to not carry that over to Octo expansion. If you get hit whilst on a rail in Octo expansion, you can't get back on the rail and you just fall. Which is pretty unfortunate.
Obo getting into our last Octoling level here on Muscle Forge Fitness. And this one is a tough one. It's got lots of enemies that do lots of damage, blasters and rollers especially, which can kill you in one hit.
Picks up a safety armor there for this roller right here, which is a high chance of breaking your armor if he does jump in. Getting what we like to call the perfect bomb there, where it breaks both the Zapfish barrier and the toxic mist. Very good. And I believe Obo is just moving on to his final 2 levels, 24 and 25, and that'll be it for him.
CecileGo just getting started on level 27 here, another Octoling level.
Yeah, getting rid of the dually levels first in roll 5.
Here in level 24, Obo gets up to this first part of the level, which can be quite annoying for newer runners. These platforms are going to start moving when you get up to them, so we like to set up with some trails of ink that we can go around and climb up stuff with to make it a bit faster. Although if you do miss some of those first cycles, that's going to be quite punishing. You're going to lose a lot of time that way.
Cecile having having a rough time with these.
He took a death.
Yeah. It's fine though, not too big of a deal. He's got the pro backup strats here. Obo kind of just streaking through this level here.
That part Obo just got past with the moving platforms can be a bit annoying because of the way momentum works in this game. It's very weird, but gets past it quite nicely. And moving on to this last section with these targets here on this cube. And if he hits all of them, he gets a key and he can move on to getting the Zapfish.
Yeah, there is a bit of a risky jump you can go for here. Before this platform starts moving to the side here, you can just jump across that gap, but it is very punishing if you miss it, and it is difficult to pull off. Obo moving on to the final level of the game for him, final charger level. I know personally I run my route for hero mode is to do worlds 1 to 5 in that order. And this level, by this point, if you're on a good pace, you're gonna definitely start feeling the nerves. And it's very easy to slip up here, especially since the charger requires the most delicate aim. So far, he's just running through it. I mean, absolutely no difficulty here. Cecile having a bit of a tumble with these Octavings here. Gonna take another death.
Obo on the last section of the level here. Basically, we have these two targets, and you got to stand on this platform and hit them. Using the charger, this is pretty easy because one full charge shot with the charger is going to make the platform move a lot. And that goes pretty fast, so it isn't too bad here.
And this, in hero mode, any percent levels quite the pain. And Obo finishing out the run with a 1:01:11. Which is a very good time. Obviously had some early game slip-ups, but besides that, the run went very well for him. GG's to the runners here, and Obo in the call. Very good race coming out from both runners here. We'll see if we can get Cecile in here for an interview, but I do believe he has been having some microphone issues.
Hello?
Hello.
There.
Hello, Obo.
All right.
Sorry, for some reason my voice settings changed automatically. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. So in that race, going in, there were some pretty major early game slip-ups there, but towards the
Oh
end,
man, that first level, I'm still shocked by
yeah.
that. That was ridiculous.
both you and Cecile had some struggles with level 3. You in particular had some struggles with the early game overall, but it kind of snowballed towards the end there, and you picked up some heavy momentum.
Yeah.
And you're getting some very good times.
Yeah, beginning was very sloppy, but I eventually just kind of got my stuff together and got better from there. Actually, finished about 40 seconds ahead of my PB at the end because I just started making up time along the way, and I actually got ahead by mid-world 4, and then I just just kept getting time again, and then from there. But yeah, it was an interesting run, to say the least.
Yeah. It was definitely a close race, even going into mid-game. Going into World 5, there's definitely a gap. I'd say maybe around a minute. Maybe a bit more than that. Both runners kept it close, for sure. It was very entertaining.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of like half asleep right now. Because
Yeah.
I said that I just got home from work, and I work at a restaurant, and it was a really busy shift. So I'm like kind of in a haze right now. So like, thank God for muscle memory, because it kind of carried me throughout the run. Because I'm literally just kind of laying back. I'm just in this haze of letting my fingers do all the work. So shoutouts to muscle memory.
Yeah, a lot of your mistakes definitely weren't anything you had to pull out some big brain backup strats for. So that did work out for you.
Yeah, I also decided to play it safe in some places.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go for anything too big. But yeah, besides the very beginning, I thought that was a pretty decent run for my standards. I think
Yeah, that was pretty
I
good.
really brought it back in the last couple of worlds.
Yeah, you said you were 40 seconds ahead?
Yeah. Out of level 25, I was 40 seconds ahead of my PB. I actually have an Octavio split just in case I do really good. I decided to like, but I decided not to. I'm not really in the mood for Octavio.
I think if you did continue this would have been a potential low 107. I guess if you got the God Octavio, you probably could have
Yeah,
gotten 106 maybe.
my
But
PB is a 107.15. But my Octavio in these splits is like a 4-2x.
oh
So
wow.
yeah, I didn't really want to run against that, even
Yeah, that's fair.
second ahead.
Yes, Seal saying in chat that he was pretty terrified at the start. Definitely had some slip ups in early game and mid game. Definitely in early game, Cecile's run was extremely strong, I'd say, besides the slip ups in level 3, which both runners had. Overall, this was a great race we saw. Definitely one of the best in the tournament, I would say, up to this point. Looking forward to having some close matches.
Yeah, I think this time, like, not to brag, but I think this time was actually better than Ian's, so watch out.
Ooh. Yeah, definitely. Going into this tournament, for those that don't know, Talon, Trot, and Ian is the second seed in the tournament. Obo is third seed. Uh, I believe since Obo won this match, they're gonna be playing each other in winners semis.
Yeah, I definitely need to have a better mindset when going into that run, because I need to definitely put in as much as I can for a run like that. Because I'm sure he's definitely gonna practice. He's gonna prepare. So make
Yeah, I
sure
know
I'm
that's gonna be a great race. Hoping to see a close race out of that one.
ready.
It's
We'll
gonna be
see.
hype. Yeah, this was definitely, I'd say it's in the top 3 best races of this tournament thus far.
Well, I think
So
this is the third one, so it better be in top 3.
yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I believe that is it for us. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for Speed
Is
Gaming for
is this
hosting the
still
tournament.
wait? Is Cecile still going?
Is he?
No,
I
I
thought he
believe
forfeited.
yeah.
Oh, he forfeited. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for
Just saying, if he's still
watching.
going. Oh, all right. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Thank you for watching, everyone. We will have more in this tournament tomorrow with my match. Me and Sacred Scythe, 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Look out for that. So hopefully we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Yeah. See you later.